Hello, and thank you for tuning into Kentucky Good Vibes. I'm your host, Shana Perkins, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Charleston native nurse and doctoral prepared psychiatric nurse practitioner. Dr. Shana Monique Williams. How are you today?
I'm good, and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a long.
Yeah, it was like a tongue twister to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you for interviewing with me here at Kentucky Good Vibes. And with that being said, who is Dr. Shana Monique Williams?
Oh my goodness. So she is a thriver, not a survivor. I have been through a lot of different things that brought me to this career. And I'm just absolutely passionate about being a psychiatric nurse practitioner. Gosh, I've done it since 2009. And I'm actually amazed, like when I say it, I'm amazed at like some of the different things that I've done. So yeah, it's been a journey, but I appreciate the journey.
Okay. You want to share some of the things that you've done over the years to get you to this point?
Oh my gosh. So I mean, in all honesty, how I got started in the profession was my aunt was a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sexually assaulted my senior year of high school, and that is where my 24-year-old is from.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the most wonderful nurse that was kind and very gracious to me. And I was like, wow, I never thought about being a nurse. I always talked about being a doctor. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. Everybody from high school, like, oh, you always talked about being a doctor. I said, well, I kind of am.
Yeah.
I'm not the one. But long story short, I went to a couple of therapists. Fortunately, my parents, even though we made some different decisions, my mom was like, hey, look, you got to talk about this. This is a lot. But I started encountering a lot of folks that didn't look like me, that didn't understand the kind of life I came from. I had a couple of therapists that said to me, oh, what's it like growing up with a single parent and in the hood?
What?
I
you think I'm from the hood?
Parents.
Yeah.
I got a mom and a dad. They both married. They're both college prepared. I don't know anything about gunshots because I lived in the suburbs all of my life.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about it.
They just came at you like that? Like, really?
Yeah. And I was like, thank you and have a nice day.
Yeah.
But again, they didn't look like me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I want something different. I want to be able to heal people, be able to get them to a point where they feel like they can be functional in their lives. Because every day there's something that happens to someone that impairs them, or there's something in their childhood that happened to them that froze them for the majority part of their life. And I was in college and ran into a recruiter from the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston. And she was from the nursing school. And she was like, have you ever heard of a nurse practitioner? I was like, no. All I ever heard about is a physician assistant. And we got to talking, and she was telling me how, a nurse practitioner, they specialize, but they can also prescribe like a physician assistant. And even in some states, you can practice independently of a physician. I was like,
are you independent?
I am not, because I happen to live in the wonderful 2 states where they require supervision. But each state, which is interesting, is lobbying for nurse practitioners to be independent, because essentially we practice like we're independent anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you, because I know I've met quite a few people that's like traveling nurses and stuff. Do you do that as well?
I could. I do not, because I am a single mom to my 9-year-old. So I prefer to be at home. So I've done a couple of different things. I have taken on a 9-to-5. I was an administrator over a crisis facility, but that was like way too much. And I was always on my phone, and I was like, okay, I want to be a little bit different. So I decided to open my own practice. I found a physician that I worked with for a long time that was able to like sponsor me. And she was like, yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. I'll sponsor you, I'll do your supervisions, things like that. And so I was able to open my own practice, which is called Forever Healing Hearts and Minds.
Okay.
I only operate out of North Carolina for right now because I need a South Carolina doctor. Anybody out there want to? So then I pretty much wanted to then I do telemed for my practice, but then I also have a 9 to 5 where I actually see patients on an outpatient basis as well. So I get to meet all types of folks all the time and get to help them become functional in their lives from that one thing that's happened to them. And sometimes that's that takes time. For some people, it's recognizing that one thing, that one thing, really just took them over the edge, and they're not sure how to deal with that. And it was just like, man, I don't know anything else. I absolutely love it. I've done a lot of great things in my nursing career, but psychiatry really it took me on a path of healing. It took me on a path of healing others. It took me on a path of writing books. And it's been a blessing to me. A lot of my patients are a true blessing and have even helped me walk through certain
I was
things.
going to ask you that too. Like sometimes like you could feel like you're helping them, but in the, the bigger pictures, they're helping you as well, And then a lot of times, like a lot of people don't speak on what happens to them. They'll just help everybody else, but then go home and they'll feel a certain type of way, like, dang, which I had it in me to, the way I encourage people, I need to encourage myself. I think we've all been through that,
Well, and I always tell my
phase.
patients, if your therapist or your nurse practitioner doesn't have somebody that they talk to, you might want to find another one. And they're like, why do you say that? And I'm like, because like I can't day in and day out listen to and take in all their things and not have a place to put that. Or like, I mean, and sad to say, I know some providers that are so emotionally disconnected, their patients can feel that.
Yes. And, like, to be honest, self-care is very important, personal care, all that. I see a counselor every 2 weeks. And at first I was afraid to see a counselor because I'm like, okay, I need to talk to somebody about, I'm not suicidal or nothing like that. But I just felt like I wanted to talk to someone that I didn't know. It's not judgmental and let me just express myself, listen to me, But then it got to the point to where I was like, okay, I'm going to see how these people do. This person does at this point. I mean, I've been seeing them for, I think it's been like since February. I mean, I look forward to it every 2 weeks. And it's just gotten better and better and better. But a lot of people won't do it because they feel like, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy. And that's the mindset that I had. Or if I do it, they're going to judge me. No, my psychiatrist, no.
No, because it's really about being like, okay, I got this thing that's going on. I got to get it out of my head, because you and I both know that, even as women, as career women, as women with things that we deal with, or just people in general, like you tend to think a lot.
Yeah.
And the more you think, the more you process something, the more you break it down, the more you think about it, the worse it gets. And you're like, before you know it, you're like, wait a minute, how did I get to this spot where I'm upset about the fact that the sky is blue? Because I've met people, I'm angry that the sky is blue. Oh, okay. How did we get there? Like, what happened?
But then again, you have to, like look at it like, okay, well, your position, like you're a nurse and nurse practitioner, doctor, all of that. But at the same time, they're looking at you like you're the life coach. You're like training them how to not necessarily training them, but you're helping them to cope with their feelings and cope with the things that they, have issues coping with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's so what was really rewarding, if I could share for a second, was when I started to meet like a lot of men and women like going through divorce. And I was like, why am I meeting all of these people? And each one of them was like drastically different. So like, I mean, I've had folks from same-sex marriages to um partnerships to open marriages.
Mhm.
And they were all going through their divorces. And I was like, what's going on? And then I went through mine,
Mhm.
and I was able to see how they were able to walk through their pathway of each part of it. And I
Mhm.
was like, oh, okay. So, gosh, she could walk through this. I think I could do it.
Mhm.
Like, she tried this, or, this and this will happen. Or, and I'm a little bit personable with my folks. I don't tell them all my business, but like, they
Mhm.
were like, hey, doc, something's a little different. You all right?
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, well, some stuff going on, and this, that, and the third. Or if I got to, I'll tell them, hey, if I got to change around some stuff, there's some things going on personally. And they're like, oh, okay, but one of my patients like really blessed me. She was like, I really had to figure out for myself what I loved about myself
Mhm.
to decide whether or not I needed to stay where I was, or if I needed to be in a different place, like if I deserved more.
Mhm.
I was like, oh crap, I don't think I asked myself that question.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
I think that's a good question.
um, because like, I had already been through like a lot of trauma. And then like you bring two folks together that like I had a great childhood, but by the latter part of my teenagehood, stepping into my adulthood sucked.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't know if I really dealt with that. So I started dealing with it, but I was married by then, and there were certain expectations that he had of me. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm the right person.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, I was like, there's some stuff I don't really like about this.
Mhm.
And the hardest part was to really, be able to look at him and say, like, hey, look, I'm not happy. You're not happy. Let's just walk away from this.
When people say, "Oh, we just said, well, I'm not happy," this, that, and the other, let's just walk away. I just can't imagine people just saying, "Okay, yeah, let's just do that." Okay, I just can't see that. But people have told me that they've done that, and they've been fine, and now they're friends, and I'm like, I just couldn't be like, "Yeah, this ain't working. Let's just walk away." Oh, okay, all right. Let me go
Yeah,
and get my
no,
stuff.
he wasn't okay.
Yeah.
He was like, what? No, like, it's not what I want. And it got, it got bad, but like, you know, my prayer, my hope is that one day we get to the point where we can actually have a discussion about what happened on his side, what happened on my side, and just meet in the middle to be the best version of ourselves for our 9-year-old.
Mhm.
Because like he's a great person,
Mhm.
just not for me.
Hmm.
We couldn't get it together, and I wasn't about to keep settling and kind of going, okay, well, I think I'll deal with that.
Mhm.
Or, okay, you know what? I won't do this instead of this. Or to feel like I'm in a competition.
Yeah.
And then, divine intervention, I meet back up with a sixth grade boyfriend who is absolutely amazing. And there's things I don't have to settle for. There's things that,
He showed you the yearbook.
oh
Remember
no,
this?
he's the check yes or no boyfriend. Like, hey, will you be my girlfriend? Yes or no? Like, and it's funny because we have this sixth grade. No, I want to say
Yearbook.
we had the sixth grade yearbook. I got the seventh grade. I was the
See?
kid that got all the yearbooks. So I'm like, really? You just
See,
check
I
yes or
felt the
no?
yearbook. When you
And then
said
we
sixth
got to
grade, I
like
just
we have
picture
this picture
yearbook.
of this formal, right? So I'm like taller than him in
Hmm.
this picture. And but we look back at it, and we're kind of the same people. Like, I get to be goofy with him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sees me as this serious, doctorate prepared nurse practitioner. You know, some people say, well, you have this resting, like, serious face. And I'm like, well, I kind of have to.
Well, you have a calm, nurturing voice. I wouldn't take it as like being
Well, you'd be surprised. Oh my God.
but you could be doing it for the show. Hey, everybody, it's me. Come see me if I click.
Seriously, like, but that's the funny part. This is who I am naturally.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that person before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, I get to be this goofy person with him. And he's like, you know, it's so cool because he's like, it's so cool because I get to see the goofy side of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the prankster, not the serious, I'm in, you know, psych mode, I'm helping people kind of thing. And so, you know, he was like, you smile a lot more, you talk a lot more, you're relaxed a lot more. I used to be really, really like just like stiff and tight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And very like,
yeah.
And it's that's why I say it's been a journey, but it's been a great journey. And I've got to evolve. I've got to show people that, you know, nurse practitioners are different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, psychiatrists are not bad. I'm not saying that because I have to say that. Because you're like, were you trying to say psychiatrists are? No. Some people prefer nurse practitioner. I'm a little bit more nurturing sometimes.
So what's the difference between the nurse practitioner and the psychiatrist?
So the psychiatrists, they have a little bit more privileges than I do, so they can admit folks to the hospital.
Okay.
Nurse practitioners currently, and from where my knowledge, we are not given that privilege in the 2 states I've been in. So y'all, for the record, I've been in North Carolina and South Carolina. That's all the places I've been. I can't speak to other states. So
leave me alone.
Right. Psychiatrists can have their own practices in all 50 states and can operate independently in their own practices. But their malpractice is woo. The liability for them is really, really bad. And that's now being even discussed politically, the liability for nurse practitioners as we take on more independence. So like some of my colleagues that work like in California, like they have their own thing. Some of my colleagues that are in Arizona, they could run their own thing. They don't even need to have the supervision of a doctor on their license. Like I have to have that in the 2 states that I've been in. There's a couple of other states. But you know, some states are going, hey, let's give nurse practitioners full practice authority, and we're getting it. So but no, I have some psychiatrists I have learned like tremendous things from. Gosh, I can't even begin to name them all because I might miss some of them. But like, I mean, even some of, you know, psychiatrists I've encountered at Recovery Innovations, the psychiatrist at Duke that I worked with, so many different psychiatrists that I've worked with and learned from, and they're willing to teach. And then, you know, I've met some psychiatrists, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to be bothered with you. But we're learning to
I see this and be like, I wonder if she's talking about me.
Right. Some of them might be watch this go. She talking about Shana, who are you trying to say? No,
oh yeah, we have the same name, me and you. I forgot to mention that. Yes, I'm Shana too.
I saw that. And what's funny is I saw the Whispers interview.
Okay.
And I was like, gosh, this is a really great show. Da, 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 da. The next thing I know, I forgot you. And so it's been great. But no, like I am learning to toot my own horn. I'm very, very humble. I precept students. Like it's a wonderful career.
Do you work with the schools?
I do. I work with different schools. So I've worked with Walden. I've worked with East Kentucky University.
Eastern.
See, I always jack that up every
I
single
went to Eastern. I just transferred from there.
So I work with their students, Duke students, UNC, because I don't want to be that professional that they can't learn from me
Yes.
or we can't cross that pathway. Even now with the company that I work with in Charleston called Life Stance, I kind of had to toot my own horn because
Yeah.
they're like, hey, you got to do this whole profile about yourself because people will pick, pick what you have. And I'm like, oh, and they're like, you've written 3 books. And I was like, well, I wrote some chapters in some books, but that was for my own healing. And they were like, put it on there. And I'm like, oh, and I don't even advertise my own stuff.
Yeah.
I'm learning to do all of that. But so like, I was very appreciative for this and this opportunity to kind of put myself out there, but also let people know that there are, psychiatric nurse practitioners that are out here and, we're good for the profession.
So can you tell us about your books?
Yes. And I'm going to take this video thing off because I know that background will not let us see that. So I'm going to do that. So I have,
I didn't even notice the background. See that I'm in tunnel vision. I'm like, I'm just focused on you, not the background.
no, I was like, let me blur that really quick. But I have 3 books. The very first one I did was when I met an actual life coach. Her name is Debbie LaShawn. And we were talking about just life in general. Like, how do you fall in love with yourself? And I think we met in like a divorce group. And she was like, hey, I would love to work with you. What's going on with you? I posted something. And I gave her the runaround for like 2 years. And so what I did was I finally got with her and we talked about vulnerability and, the courageous story, the sexual assault, the marriage, how that fell apart. And I wrote my very first book called The Power of the V.
Oh, powerful.
Now, the V means vulnerability.
Okay. I was like, but it is powerful though.
It is. We are powerful.
It is.
And so she was like, so we picked, all of us came up with the power of the V because we really wanted to bring people in. And it is 7 of us that have gotten together and written about our stories. That was the first thing I wrote about. And that was like kind of like the walls of Wonder Woman. So the 4 walls of Wonder Woman. And it talked about me getting those walls down and, and understanding who I was and who I wanted in my camp and my tribe and things like that. And then I got approached by another life coach who I had been in contact with. We had done a couple of events together and had like commonalities with different people. And I wrote a chapter in Healing Toxic Habits, Volume 2 with Letitia Nicole. And it looks like this.
Okay.
And the title was The Settling of the Sacrificial Lamb. So my toxic behavior was I always settle to make people happy, even if it means that I have to sacrifice myself. And as I walked through my divorce and did therapy and other stuff, I was like, oh, I ain't doing that no more.
I had to work on that too.
Like,
I went to life coaching a school as well, and we had to figure things out, just like you had to figure things out. And
right.
She was like, "What is your not your limit, but your help me out. I'm for it."
Yeah. What's your why?
Yeah.
I
had to learn how to start saying no.
Right. What's your no?
Yeah.
And then my last book is called The Waiting Room. So Debbie LaShawn and I paired back up again with 7 other ladies and 7 awesome ladies. Oh my gosh, like all of the ladies are awesome, but like these ladies, like we on like this pathway that we didn't even realize. So the waiting room looks like this.
I like that.
And she
color.
does not have a facial expression for a reason. But my topic, my chapter title was WAIT. So wait, but it's called Why Am I So Troubled? So I took myself back through my childhood in this one, and how I talked about the waiting room and how you get in the waiting room and you're kind of waiting for different things, and there's different things in there to distract you. But like, as you start to go through the journey of life and you go back from the waiting room into that hallway, there's all these doors of all the different things that you haven't encountered yet. Now, the question is as you encounter each thing, do you go back to the waiting room or do you go to the next door? So that's what this chapter was about, the waiting room.
Okay, cool.
Now everybody's like, so when are you writing your own book? And I'm like, I don't know.
How many pages do you have in that book?
Oh gosh, each one, let's see. So I go all the way, I think it's about 20 pages in each one.
Okay.
But it's different good chapters. If you want one, let me know. I'll be happy to send you one. But yes, like, this is amazing. I am so happy for this opportunity. I am so humbled by this opportunity. This is you have a wonderful, wonderful podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. It's
surprise
growing, definitely growing. Definitely growing. And so with that being said, is there anything that you would like to add before we wrap up? Any words of advice to those seeking to get into the medical field?
Go with your passion. Don't go with what you think is going to make you the most money. Yes, the money is great, but the passion that you have for it, the blessing that you feel from it, the rewards you get from it, it doesn't even begin to touch the money. I know a lot of people, they say, oh, I'm going in health field because I don't have to work as hard. I make this money, but it's a lot emotionally. So the second thing I would say is take care of yourself emotionally as you start to get into the medical field. If you start to get into the healthcare field, because there's some challenging things that could easily flip your mind faster than you think. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've even been shot at.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Travel nursing.
Oh, wow.
So it's,
and then, that's a wrap. No,
right. And then lastly, just enjoy your journey. Enjoy your journey and look at everything as the next step to building upon that foundation that was once shaky.
Okay. And is there a way that people can get in contact with you to get a book that you just showed?
So on Facebook, I am, hold on, I always have different names. So on my Facebook, I am Shana Monique. On Instagram, I am Doc Butterfly 08, and that has a lot to do with one of my aunts who is now deceased that called me her butterfly. And now I know how to fly, so.
Okay.
I'm Doc Butterfly 08 on Instagram. And then on TikTok, I am Doc Shana.
Okay. We're two different Shanas.
Right. I am SHANA.
Yeah. She's Shana, AKA.
Exactly. And yes, I love my sorors and Gamma Xi Omega in Charleston.
Okay. Well, thank you for interviewing here with me at Kentucky Good Vibes. And with that being said, I would love to follow up with you in the near future. And yes, I would definitely love a book for all three of them. And with that being said, once again, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.